Hello, everyone. How are you today? Well, welcome back to today's grammar capsule. My name is Ruben Oropesa, and I'm going to be here with you today to go over one of the most important presentations when it comes to the use of adjectives. And the name it's called Order of Adjectives. Have you heard of this topic before? Are you familiarized with the rule? Well, if not, don't you worry because we're going to go over it today. Before we start, let's refresh our memory with the question I have. What is an adjective? Well, as it says here, an adjective describes a noun. And the noun, we already know that it's the person, the place, the thing, the situation. And one of the most confusing things when studying English, especially for those of you whose native language is Spanish, is the placement of the adjective. Because as you see the examples here, in English, the adjective goes in front of what it describes. So in this case, in Spanish, I would say, yo tengo una camioneta negra. Camioneta is the noun, and negra would be the adjective of color, right? And in Spanish, it usually goes after camioneta negra, and in English, it goes before. I have a black truck. Or, for example, if I'm talking about my classmate, I can say in Spanish, you would say, él es un estudiante inteligente. And in English, we know that it's intelligent student. So the use of adjectives or adjectives in English describe the nouns. However, what happens when you have more than one adjective? If you check here, I have an idea, but it's with two adjectives. So obviously we know that I can say if yesterday I ate food, I can say that I ate Mexican food. Mexican would be an adjective of nationality, or I can say delicious food. But how would I say it if I want to use both adjectives? If I want to say comida deliciosa mexicana, how would you say that in English? Do you say I ate Mexican delicious food or delicious Mexican food? What would be the correct one? I think most of you have it correct because you probably want to say this, that the correct answer is yesterday I ate delicious Mexican food. But my question here is why? Why is it not correct to say Mexican delicious food? Many of you probably say, oh, because it sounds correct, right? And it does, it sounds better, delicious Mexican food. But there's actually a rule that we have to follow. That's why it's called order of adjectives. So if you check in here, you have an explanation. Every time you have more than one adjective, the first adjective you use is an opinion adjective. Now, what is an opinion? An opinion is that type of adjective that can change because maybe for me it's delicious, but for you it's terrible or beautiful. I have a beautiful friend, and maybe you see this person and you say, ugly, right? So, opinion adjectives are the ones that can change based on perspective. Nationality, on the other hand, that's not an opinion. Mexican is Mexican, Italian is Italian. So, every time you have more than one adjective, you just have to remember that first is your opinion and then your nationality. This is, of course, if you have more than one. But let's make it a little bit more difficult. How about in this example? Same dinner, and I drank wine. We all love some wine, right? However, in here I have three adjectives: Italian, red, and expensive. Well, if you remember, we said that first is the opinion adjective. In this case, expensive is considered an opinion because maybe for me it's expensive, but for Mr. Bill Gates, cheap, right? And the nationality here is Italian. So we already know that if it's only those two, it would be I drank an expensive Italian wine. But we have one more adjective from a different category. What is this adjective? Exactly. The adjective is red. So red is not an opinion and it's not a nationality. What would be the category of this adjective? Color, right? So how would I say this sentence using these three descriptors? Well, the only correct answer is I drank an expensive red Italian wine. So in this case, we have in here the order of adjectives when you have more than one. If you have more than one adjective, first is your opinion, expensive, then your color, red, and after your nationality, Italian. So this means that I can play around with the descriptors and I can say I drank an expensive red wine or I drank a red Italian wine, as long as you follow this order when you have more than one. So, are you ready to check the order of adjectives? Let's go over them. In here, we have the order, the rule. So you have 6 type of adjectives, and when you're using these in your sentences, we have to respect this order. And the more we use them, the easier it's going to get. Difficult part here is at the beginning where we really have to remember the order, right? So when you have more than one adjective, you always start with your opinion. For example, beautiful. After the opinion, if you have a size, that would be the second adjective. What are some sizes? Tall, short, big, medium, small, average. So I can say a beautiful big sofa if I'm using two. After your size is your color. We already know the colors, right? Red, blue, pink, purple, yellow, any color. And then after the color, if you're describing, for example, a table and you want to say the shape, round, circled, squared, rectangular. So this would be an adjective of shape. And then after the shape is the nationality. English, Spanish, American, Italian, Brazilian, European, Mexican. And the last adjective is the one that describes what the noun is made of, which is the material. Paper, plastic, grass, wood. However, we have to be creative because a material can also be a category. For example, in music, pop music, rock music, those would be materials because it's a kind of category of music, right? Or you're talking about movies, romantic, comedy, suspense. So the material doesn't have to be physical. It can be the category of, for example, a song or a movie, right? So in this case, when we have more than one adjective, we just have to remember that we need to respect this order. First is your opinion, then your size, then your color, then your shape, then your nationality, and the last adjective is your material. So in this case, if I want to have an example and I'm talking about a singer, I can say that she is a beautiful, tall, Mexican pop singer. So in this case, beautiful, what would be that category? It's an opinion, right? Tall falls under the category of size, Mexican nationality, and remember what we talked about? Pop would be the category, in this case, a material. So in this case, if I don't want to use all adjectives, remember that you can just use one. She's a beautiful singer, or a beautiful Mexican singer or a tall pop singer. As long as you follow the order, you should be correct. So, the order of adjectives is used only when you have more than one. In this case, if you want to mention something about your English teacher, you can say, oh, I love my fantastic English teacher. Fantastic is the opinion. English would be the nationality, or in this case, the category of your class. So to recap, this is the order of adjectives. First, you have your opinion, then your size, then your color, shape, nationality, and material. So in here we have a sentence that is a little bit exaggerated because we're using all adjectives. But in this case, I can say, oh, in my house, I have a beautiful, big, black, round Italian metal clock. If I want to be so descriptive, right? And we just remember that this is not a common way of speaking, but if you have more than one, that's actually common, right? I have a beautiful metal clock, a big Italian clock, a black round clock, as long as you respect the order. So I hope you found today's grammar capsule useful. Remember to keep practicing your adjectives. Make your list of categories. Make a list of like 10 descriptions for opinion, 10 for color. That way you expand your vocabulary. Again, my name is Ruben Oropesa. Thanks for watching. And remember to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day and see you in class.